It's now my honor to introduce our keynote speaker tonight. I know you are going to love this man. He will not say this, but this guy is a rock star. Our keynote speaker is Brian Cladesby. Brian is a nationally renowned leader and a powerful advocate for Indian country. His people have lived and been caretakers of the land in the Puget Sound region for millennia. A member of the Swinomish tribe, Brian was tribal chairman for more than 20 years. The Swinomish, I'm sorry, it's toggling back and forth on my computer. Sorry about that. The Swinomish Indian tribe community, also known as the Swinomish tribe, are indigenous people of the Pacific Northwest that includes the Central and Coast Salish peoples who lived in the Samish and Skagit River valleys, nearby coasts, and also the islands. Brian was the president, I should say, of the National Congress of American Indians for 2 terms, the first starting in October of 2013. During this time, he was invited to introduce President Obama at a White House Tribal Nations Conference and was also a guest at the state dinner given for the President of France. During Brian's tenure as chairman in 2018, the Swinomish tribe opened the Digwalich Wellness Center. It's an integrated care facility that provides substance use and mental health services to all enrolled tribal members. Drug overdoses have been cut in half since its opening. I invite everyone to sit back, let Brian's powerful words and deep wisdom wash over you. Brian, thank you so much for joining us tonight, and the podium is yours.
Brian, you need to unmute yourself.
How many times have I been told to unmute? Come on, give me $1 for every time, huh, Mark? Once again, I want to thank ETS for inviting me to their 4th annual event. Thank you, Mark, for the great introduction. I want to start by telling a story about a young Native American boy who was born in 1899 on an Indian reservation in Washington State. Now, he was born 12 years after General Richard Pratt encouraged the federal government to create a law called Kill the Indian, Save the Man. Kill the Indian, Save the Man. And that was passed in 1887 as a result of that act. And I'm not sure if we want to have a raise of hands. How many of you have raised children or are raising children right now? Raise your hand. Can you imagine the federal government coming into your home today and telling you that all kids ages 6 to 12 are going to be taken out of your home, they're going to be sent away, some up to 12 years, and you're not going to be able to see your children for that long? How would you feel? That actually happened here in the United States, where this law that was passed, Kill the Indian, Save the Man, took 80% of the Native American children out of their homes. And this young boy that was born in 1899 was not exempt from that. He was taken from his home, sent away to a boarding school. And in 1919, when this young Native American individual was now a man at 20 years old, he was still being held as a prisoner in a boarding school in Oregon at 20 years old in 1919. And he finally had enough. And he said, I want to go home. And they says, no, you cannot go home. And so he ran away from about Central Oregon on his way back up to La Conner. And we have the letter from the boarding school. They put out a all points bulletin saying that this young man had ran away. He was heading to La Conner. And if you find him, catch him, let us know, and we will come back and bring him back to the school. Well, this young man, he made it to Seattle, Washington, and World War I was just ending, and he found himself at a Navy recruiting station. And so he goes in, and he signs up for the Navy. Well, the boarding school got wind that he did this. And so the boarding school, and we have a letter, sent the Navy a letter saying that this young man is our property, and we want you to return him immediately to the boarding school. And so what does the military do after he enlists? They bring him back to the boarding school. And for 1 week, it must have been hell for him as a runaway to have to go back to this boarding school. After 1 week, the military finally figured it out that, wait, he is now our property. He signed up for the military. So after 1 week, they went back to the school and they took him out of that boarding school and brought him to San Francisco for boot camp. Now that young man was born here on the Swinomish Reservation. That young man, his name was Ernest Clatesby, my grandfather. That was not that long ago. This law that was enacted, Kill the Indian, Save the Man, where 80% of the children were taken, many of them never ever made it back home. Many died. And the post-traumatic stress disorder that these children experienced at these boarding schools was off the chart. The verbal abuse, the mental abuse, the physical abuse, and the sexual abuse was off the chart. And nearly 100% of the children experienced this form of abuse. And you got to understand that these schools were run by every Protestant and the Catholic denominations, and they did this in the name of God. And so when you suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder, there's two things that you need to deal with this. One, you need drugs, and two, you need doctors to help you get through it. And of course, none of this was available to these kids. And so many of them become adults all screwed up. And they say that it takes 2 generations to destroy a cycle, and it takes 2 generations to rebuild a cycle. Now, Roots of Recovery, this is a great, great theme for this conference, because every one of us in our life have roots that we can talk about. We have good roots and we have bad roots. The good roots I am referring to are loving parents, a stable home, and a home that is drug and alcohol free. And of course, sometimes we grow up with bad roots where we have dysfunctional parents, we have an unstable home, and we have drug and alcohol use. Now, when these children, my grandparents, came home from these boarding schools, the drug that they turned to, nearly 100% of them, was alcohol to help drown their memories, to help them deal with post-traumatic stress disorder. And when they came home, an elder once told me, a child is a reflection of their upbringing. A child is a reflection of their upbringing. And many of these kids, for up to 12 years, were raised at these boarding schools. So that's all they knew. And so when they came home, and you got to ask yourself, why do Native Americans have the highest drug abuse of any segment of society? Why do Native Americans suffer from the highest poverty rate of any segment of society? Why do Native Americans have the highest dropout rate of any segment of society and have all the negative health issues that we deal with here in the United States? You ask yourself, why? Because this historical trauma is real and it's still alive today. Generational trauma. Now, when our grandparents came home, they brought all of these negative things that they grew up with back home. The verbal abuse, the mental abuse, the physical abuse, and the sexual abuse. That was all brought back to the tribal lands. Now, my great-grandfather, who passed away when I was 4 years old, I only have one memory, and this is really sad, one memory of my great-grandfather. He was sitting in our living room, and we found him one morning, and he had died. He had a bottle of alcohol between his legs. And that's the one memory I have of my great-grandfather. He was alcoholic, my grandfather, was alcoholic. My father was alcoholic. I grew up with these serious bad roots: drugs, alcohol, domestic violence. I've seen, I've witnessed, and I experienced things that no child should ever have to live through. My grandma lived right below us, and she was part of the Shaker Church, the 1910 Native American Shaker Church here in the Northwest. And she prayed for us kids every single day. She lit candles, she sang her songs, and she rang her bells every single day. And when she died, she never had a chance to see her prayers answered for our family. Thank God my grandfather quit drinking. My father quit drinking in 1976, and I quit drinking in 1989. They say that it takes 2 generations to break a cycle. And when my grandfather quit and when my father quit, we experienced something in our lives that we never ever seen. Our parents and grandparents, drug and alcohol free. And so when my wife and I, and God bless her soul, she's been by my side for 46 years now, we grew up with some very dysfunctional home lives. And we made a promise to ourselves that when our children were being raised, that they weren't going to be raised in the same environment that we were raised in. And so when we quit drinking in 1989, both of our daughters became drug and alcohol free. Both of our daughters graduated from college. And so when you think about roots and you think about seeds, we got to plant good seeds in our lives, and hopefully they will grow and thrive. Now, I thank God that I've got 2 beautiful grandchildren. My granddaughter just turned 13, and my grandson is 9. And I'm telling you, if you're a grandparent, there's nothing greater in life than being a grandparent. The greatest bumper sticker I ever seen was, if I knew grandchildren were going to be so special, I would have had them first. That's how special grandchildren are. Now, what I thank God about more than anything is, for the first time in 100 years, my grandchildren are being raised in our family for the first time in 100 years in a home that is 100% drug and alcohol free. My grandchildren never seen their great grandfather intoxicated. My grandchildren never seen me intoxicated. My grandchildren never seen their parents intoxicated. No cigarettes, no marijuana, no alcohol, nothing in the home. Now that's breaking the cycle. And it takes 2 generations to break the cycle, and it takes 2 generations to destroy those bad roots that start to grow in your lives. Now, when people came to Swinomish when I was growing up, they came for one thing: to party, to find someone to buy them alcohol, to find drugs. And in 20 years, we've seen one of the highest drug and alcohol abuse rates drop dramatically here at Swinomish. And it's been amazing to witness this ride. A number of years ago, about 7 or 8 years ago, we had our first heroin overdose. And so we took matters into our own hands, and we invested about $1 million into a program called This Has to Stop. And This Has to Stop was amazing. In 4 years, we saved 50 tribal members' lives, tribal members that were into heroin. And I attribute this heroin epidemic to one thing: OxyContin. OxyContin was being prescribed here at Swinomish like candy. And our people went from becoming alcoholics to heroin and pill poppers. And so when we had that first overdose, we knew we had to take matters into our own hands. And in 4 years, we've seen success that was off the chart. And so we decided as a community that we were only offering this to tribal members, but there was non-tribal members in our community that were impacted also. And so we decided to expand this program. We opened up the Didgwalich Treatment Center, and our goal was to service 250 individuals. And you got to understand that 80% plus of those that are coming to our treatment center are non-Indian at our treatment center. And so we wanted, when we opened this facility, we wanted in 5 years to hit 250. We hit 250 patients in 10 months. And so we had to start turning them away. And our director was in tears because she had to turn away individuals. So we made the decision to go from a 10,000 square foot facility to a 30,000 square foot facility and offer these. And our goal was to reach 500. And I'm not sure exactly where we're at right now. But when you think about our treatment facility, it's very unique in the nation. Number one, we provide free transportation. We drive to 5 different counties. If you have children, you bring your children in, you have free daycare. If you haven't seen a medical doctor forever, you got a doctor to go see. If you have bad teeth, like 99% of the addicts do, we have 6 chairs and dentists on site to take care of you. We have all the counselors you need. We help you with your legal problems. We help you if you want to start going back to school. And it's been a phenomenal success. I can't wait to read the book and hear the stories of all the individuals' lives who we have saved. Our next phase is to build housing on site because we're losing about 10 to 20% of our clientele because they're homeless. And so we want to create an environment on our reservation where we have housing for these individuals. I can continue to speak to you for another hour on this. I've condensed everything down to 15 minutes. And let me see, was I given 15 or 20 minutes? I can't remember now. 20 minutes, oh, cool. I still have 3.5, 4 minutes. I got a stopwatch going right here beside me. So cool. And so, the one thing that I always leave with individuals that are working in this environment or are seeing individuals that are out there struggling is to never give up on anyone. I always tell people the only reason I'm here today is because someone prayed for me. And I will just give you just a small snapshot of what I had to overcome in life to get where I am today. And it's only by the grace of God that I am where I am today. So I don't know how many of you have any 8-year-olds, kids or grandkids in the home yet, but growing up, and I don't share this very often. Very often do I share this story, but my first experience in getting drunk was at 8 years old. I had 3 older brothers, teenagers in the 60s, who thought it would be cool to see their brother drunk. So at 8 years old, I started consuming alcohol. And that lasted for about 20 years. At 12 years old, I was on a 6th grade basketball team here at Swinomish. And my coach thought it would be funny one day to get all of us stoned in the locker room, marijuana for the first time at 12. At 14, my cousin introduced me to LSD. And, we used to have in our tribal communities rites of passage for our children. Rites of passage was a very big ceremony for our boys and girls. And so sadly, the rite of passage went from either fishing on your own, hunting on your own, gathering on your own, to sharing alcohol with your parents. So at 16 years of age, I was sharing Black Velvet with my dad. So it was amazing barriers that I had to overcome. But once again, prayers, prayers, and prayers, and a lot of help from individuals within our community who seen the potential, not only in me, but the rest of my family. And I shared with you about my grandmother who prayed every day for us, but she never ever witnessed her prayers being answered. So there was 5 of us in my family, 6 originally, but my brother died in 72 of heart problems. But there was 4 boys and a girl who grew up in this lifestyle. And thank God today, all 5 of us are no longer using drugs or alcohol. And it was those prayers that were answered. And so it is just amazing to witness all of the success stories happening here at Swinomish because of the work that the tribe has put into trying to destroy drug and alcohol abuse here. And it's so ironic that Kill the Indian, Save the Man, where 80% of our kids were taken and put in a boarding school, education was the thing that caused the majority of our problems. But it's so ironic today that at Swinomish, we see that education caused our problem, but education is the tool we're using to destroy this problem. So when you, a generation ago, we were probably at 40 to 50% graduation rate. Now today, when you graduate or get a GED at Swinomish, we provide you a full ride scholarship to the school of your choice anywhere in the world. And you can go to school as long as you want, and the tribe pays for that. And we look at that as an investment, not a drain on our budget. We look at it as an investment. And I'll end with one story about 2 ladies here at Swinomish. One was impacted by drug and alcohol abuse at a young age. And she had some bad things happen to her at a young age. And so she started having babies at a teenager, and she ended up having 5 babies. All 5 of those babies ended up in the foster care system in the state of Washington. She was always in and out of treatment. She was always in and out of jail. She was always running from the law or getting picked up by the law. At 37 years of age, she was in ICU at Skagit Valley Hospital in Mount Vernon, and she was dying. And for 3 weeks, her grandmother, her mother, her 5 children, her siblings watched her die. On Christmas Day, she passed away. It's a sad story. Now here's a story of another Native American girl who was raised in a home drug and alcohol free. The tribe paid 4 years of college for her at the University of Washington to get a degree. After she got her degree, she came in to our council chambers with her hands raised like this, and her parents had their hands raised like this, thanking the council for investing in her life. She went on to get a master's degree at the Arizona State University, and today she is doing great. Those 2 stories, the girl that we invested in, she'll never be a drain on the budgets of the tribe, of the local city, of the county, the state, or the federal government. She'll never be a drug dealer. She'll never be on welfare. She'll never be in poverty. She'll never be in prison or jail. And so we look at this as an investment in our community to destroy drug and alcohol abuse, and we're witnessing it. The last few years, we had almost 100% graduation rate, with the majority of those kids attending higher education somewhere in the United States. So I am 1 minute and 39 seconds over. I better, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Brian, thank you. So inspired by your words, Brian. You know, Brian hit the nail on the head. When people decide that they don't want to be addicted anymore, they're giving not only themselves a gift, but they're giving a gift to their children and their grandchildren. It's a gift that keeps paying. And it doesn't happen in a vacuum. And that's where ETS comes in, to provide the professional support and the guidance to help people end addiction. I don't know about you, but I don't know one person who has not been touched by addiction in some way or another. I'm guessing that for you, it's the same. We're going to put up another poll to get a sense of how everyone in this room has been impacted by addiction. So if you want to get out your phones and scan the QR code on the screen, just text the phone number or simply visit the website listed. Tell us who in your life has struggled with addiction, and then who has made a difference in their life if they've been touched by these issues. Maybe it's you personally, maybe it's a parent, a sibling, a friend. When Brian was talking about his grandmother, I thought about my own grandmother. When she was in her 80s, I was walking arm in arm with her, taking her back to the farmhouse. And she turned to me and just out of the blue, she said, Mark, do you know what the biggest gift, the most significant gift I've given this family? And I thought, well, maybe it's the farm. It's, you know, we love the farm. It's a gorgeous piece of property. She said, when I stopped drinking, she said, I stopped drinking when you boys were little. And I don't remember her ever drinking, but she said, I decided that I didn't want to be drunk. She said, can you imagine what that would have been like to have a grandparent drunk all the time? She said, I think that was my greatest gift to the family. And it just blew me away. And arm in arm, we continued walking. And I completely agree. When you decide to get sober, when you decide to stop using, that's the biggest gift in the world you can give yourself and your family. And it's unbelievable. So Brian, kudos to you. Kudos to the tribe. You know, thank you so much for all that you're doing to end addiction. So we're looking at some of the text messages. Who has struggled with substance use, addiction, disorder, self, parent, child, sibling, grandparent, friends? You know, it really doesn't matter. Addictions don't care who you are. They'll come for you and they'll get you. So now this is the part of the program that I think is really profound. When we see someone with a cardboard sign that says, help me, and we know that they're clearly struggling with addiction, we're conflicted, right? Well, tonight, when you give money, you do not have to be conflicted, because the money that you give tonight goes to an amazing group of men and women trying to end addiction in our area. So right now I'd like to pass the mic to our dear friend. Some of you probably recognize her again, Hayden Ortiz, who is back for her 4th year. So Hayden, take it away.
Thank you, Mark. And thank you, Brian. It's an honor to learn from your legacy of leadership. I would like us to start with an incredible video that's been put together to give us a deeper dive into the heart and soul of UTS.
I use drugs and alcohol to cover up hurt, to cover up shame from what happened to me when I was younger. And it doesn't work. Coming to this program has made me stand up straighter, keep my head up, start thinking positive thoughts instead of negative thoughts all the time. And Evergreen really does work if you work it. Okay, you're here.
I personally am so proud and humble and grateful to work for an organization where, as staff, we show up every day on the street, we show up in jails, we show up in emergency rooms, we show up in our clinics to walk alongside the folks we serve. And to do that in solidarity with them without passing judgment, and from the standpoint of we seek to reduce the harm that is coming in many respects from a world that, the deck is stacked against them. We are a significant community-based organization that serves 2 counties in Washington State, King County and Thurston County. We are a behavioral health organization. We are also a social service organization, and they're very complementary. On the REACH side, there's an array of services that we deliver, everything from street outreach and engagement to long-term case management, jail diversion, jail reentry. We help folks access housing and retain that housing. And then on the behavioral health side of the organization, we run opiate treatment programs that are very clinically driven and evidence-based in their approach. And so we are seeking to treat the whole person in a way that is comprehensive and responsive to their needs.
Okay, so here we have our harm reduction kit. We have our syringes, basic needs supplies, so like deodorant, hand sanitizer, mouthwash, toothbrush, chapstick, and like hand warmers and a mask. So we'll take these, have them ready beforehand for folks, give them out as needed, usually as part of like a daily check-in, like, hey, what can we do for you? These can also be bigger conversations on what they might be needing.
Morning, it's Outreach.
Anyone home?
How's everything going? I'm just checking in. Do you need anything? You in need of any supplies? Yeah, we have all that, yeah. So she was asking for condoms, shampoo.
Our job is to support our clients in whatever way they need and want. Like at REACH, that's why we practice a lot of autonomy, harm reduction, trauma-informed care, because it looks different for everybody. People have different needs. People want different things for their lives. The reason people are out there is for a lot of trauma and oppression. We continuously punish people and brand them as soon as they've done something that there's no way for them to be anything else. And harm reduction to me is really looking past that, being able to see a person fully for who they are, where they are. Maybe we're not going to be able to completely remove all the things that make you unsafe, but we can alleviate, we can make it a little less, we can make it a little bit better.
The problem that we're trying to solve or dismantle is that drug use shouldn't be a crime. And homelessness shouldn't be a crime. We shouldn't even have homelessness. But if we really, truly want to help people, why don't we make the services fit for the person that's struggling? It's really a way to get to self-determination. If I'm able to work with a client and when we started, they're walking in rooms with their heads down, but by the end of this, they're walking in with their heads up and they're actually advocating for themselves, then we're winning. And it's incremental change, and which is hard to do, but incremental change is more sustainable and powerful in the end of it.
All right, hi, I'm Dwight. You ready? Yeah. Hi.
Yeah, like Chris,
Yeah. Wow. Are you ready? Ready. Hi, I'm Dwight. I'm from the LEAD program. This is the outcome after 8 years of being clean and sober. Come on in. This is my house. My man cave. That's when I first moved in. Been on the street for a long time. You keep up under 99 for about 5 years, you'd be proud too. When the LEAD program came through, they offer you housing, health care, school, job training, and help you get your life back. That's the way to go.
Mr. Dwight has been part of REACH since 2013, and prior to that, he has had a substance disorder for 25 years and was constantly being criminalized for his substance disorder. Dwight decided he wanted sobriety, so that case manager from REACH supported him into getting treatment, and he was able to get sober in 1 year. And he was able to secure a job with the city doing park and recreational work. And then slowly after was able to transition into his own independent housing and has been living on his own, paying his rent for the past 7 years. And be able to live a very productive, meaningful life where he was able to reconnect with his children. And without having housing and stability, he would have never been able to cross that road with his children.
We are essential workers. We have stayed on the job throughout the pandemic. Our folks have shown up in the clinics. Our folks have shown up at REACH, and we have continued to do this work amidst even heightened risk. There's already risk in the work that we do, and it has heightened it. And we have continued to walk the work forward courageously and with the highest commitment. But I'm not gonna gloss over the fact that it's been an extreme challenge because COVID has exacerbated the inequities we already have in our society.
Good morning.
How's everything going?
Really great, thank you. Thank you for asking.
I'm gonna go ahead and pour your dose. You know, people are people. And it's not about where they come from. It's about where their desire to go is right now. They come into treatment for a reason, and just seeing them maintain that stability, it's very rewarding.
This place saved my life in a lot of different ways. The trees are greener, the air is better to breathe. I mean, I don't have to hide or be ashamed anymore, and I could walk with my head held high and be who I was meant to be.
Wow. I thanked Mark and Brian earlier, and I want to thank all who've shared their wisdom, lived experience, and courage tonight. Thank you. Like Mark said, my name is Hayden. I've been part of Aurora Commons in North Seattle, an ETS community partner, as a staff member, volunteer, and donor. And I've been privileged to witness firsthand the deep impact of ETS in the lives of neighbors who struggle. Also, like many of us, I've lost a loved one to their substance use. At the end of her life, she was so isolated. I can only imagine if she'd had the resources of ETS and REACH and hadn't been so alone. As we gather around the theme, Roots of Recovery, we've been reminded tonight that ETS creates a deep, wide, well-nourished root system from which neighbors, loved ones, and our community can draw from to find healing, stability, and a new chance at life. And you, my friends, whether you know it or not, are a critical part of this root system. It is my honor to invite you now to give, so this essential work continues. Being in this together is how we make a lasting difference in our community, and especially for those who are most vulnerable. We will move through donation levels similar to an in-person paddle race, but we invite you to give at any time via the QR code or text message as displayed on the screen, or the giving link will be in the chat, so you can click there to give as well. This is an exciting time of the evening when we get to see the impact we can make together. So let me see some enthusiasm on your screens, a cheer for ETS, a clap, a hand wave, maybe give us some dance moves. If I was you, I'd put on a soundtrack so you can really feel the excitement. And we need you in the chat, letting us know you're giving and encouraging others to give. You'll see me looking back and forth at you in the chat window throughout our time. So here we go. Drum roll, please. Thanks to a friend and supporter, Suzanne Hittman, who's out there somewhere. Suzanne, we are starting the giving tonight at the $15,000 level. So thank you, Suzanne. Let's show some love for her. And you will see our larger donation levels up on the screen. 15,000, 10,000, 5,000, and 2,500. We're going to take a moment for those of you who are able to consider if you'll join us with a gift at one of these levels. If your answer is yes, please let us know in the chat. If you're comfortable sharing your gift amount, please do. Otherwise, just type I'm in or yes. David, I'm going to assume that was a yeah for something different because you did that before I said that. I see a 2,500. Thank you, Betsy. I see another yes from Zach. Woo! Awesome. We have already heard from a few of you that you plan to make your donation via check, donor advised fund, or stock. So information can be found in your program about how to give via these other methods. I see another. I'm missing you. There are so many. I am missing you. Thank you, Chad. And amazing. We have one last moment for any others who are in. Thank you, everyone. We all say thank you. We're going to move on. Oh, Jessica, I saw you. Okay, we're going to move on to the $1,000 level now, and we have a special announcement. Thanks to another generous donor, the first 15 donations at $1,000 will be matched. So say that with me, 15 donations, $1,000 matched. Can we get this match, everybody? I already see 1,000, I see 2. Woo, we're gonna count for a moment, see if we can get to 15. So if you can do this, write 1,000 in the chat if you're in for $1,000. Amazing. Woo! There we go, Tom. Thank you. Thank you, Steve. Thank you. It's amazing. We got a couple more sneaking in. We are at 5 already. There's another. Thank you, Felicia. We're at 6, we're at 7. We're gonna take maybe like 5 more seconds. And we know that more will continue to come in. So as we move on, we're gonna move on in faith. There's another one. Thank you, Adele. I apologize if I say your names incorrectly. All right. Amazing. Okay, we're at 8. Okay, we're gonna circle back around as these keep coming in. I'm gonna keep us going for time. You will now see 500, 250, 100, 150, and 25 on the screen. If you haven't given yet, you are invited to give at one of these levels. And truly, we hope everyone can find a level that works for you. So give the amount that feels meaningful and doable. Maybe that's $10. Every dollar matters and makes a difference. Let's see some more donations in the chat. Let us know if you can give this amazing community. Thank you, Michael, Kathy. I apologize, the ones that got through I didn't see. We are blowing up in the chat. Lori, Vincent, Jackie, Steele from Tri-Cities, Ted, Aranda, Linda, you all are overwhelming me. Thank you, Bill and Nancy and Becca and Arnaud. I'm sorry that I'm missing you. There are too many to count. We had one from a dad. Oh man, you all are amazing. Thank you. We all say thank you. Whew. Remember, there's the QR code, there's the text to give, and Tavia can also stick the giving link in the chat one more time. I don't know what to do, y'all are blown up. Okay, there's the chat one more time, or the link in the chat. Thank you, Ruth. Addie, I'm sorry, all of you that I've missed. Gretchen, thank you. Okay, you just keep them coming in. Finally, as was mentioned earlier, this is Reach's 25th anniversary. So my last challenge is to invite you all to add an extra $25 to your donation in celebration of Reach's anniversary. So let me see some 25s in the chat if you're in, and if we can count on you for that. 25, 25, or 500. Yeah, Oscar, don't let me get you down. Thank you for those 25. Thank you, Molly, Chris, Echo, Michelle, yes, Julia. Amazing community. You truly know what it means to be in this together. Happy 25th anniversary. Look at all these coming in. So beautiful, all of you. We are excited to get our grand total to you after the event. It is an honor to witness the strength of this community and the power of your generosity. Thank you for having me. Thank you for your impact. And now, ETS CEO Steve Woolworth.
Thank you, Hayden. All right, on behalf of everyone on the ETS team, I want to extend our sincere gratitude and appreciation for your support and generosity this evening. We could not do this work without you and your continuing commitment to our mission to transform the lives of individuals and their communities through innovative and effective addiction and social services. I want to send a special thank you out to Sherry and Dwight for allowing us to feature your recovery journeys. You inspire us with your strength and your courage. I want to thank Brian for sharing his story and for his incredible leadership and his inspirational message to us tonight. Hayden, thank you as always for your spirit and your energy. Thank you to our #1 supporter and wonderful MC, Mark Wright. Mark, thank you for continuing to make yourself available to help our cause and to help increase our visibility in the region. I also want to thank our Director of Philanthropy and Communications, Tavia Rhodes, members of the event team, our couch captains, and everyone else who has worked behind the scenes to pull off yet another tremendous virtual event. Michelle and Shanique, thank you for kicking us off. Thank you again to all of our sponsors and community partners. Too many to name individually, but each and every one of you stands by our side in important and impactful ways. Thank you, one and all. Mark, please take us home.
All right, Steve, thank you. So to finish things out, there's just one thing I want, don't worry, this is going to be age appropriate. There's one thing I wanted to do to close out the program. By being here tonight, all of you are, in my mind, superheroes. We are here to end overdose. Let's give another round of applause for the incredible staff and volunteers for ETS, for all the work that you guys do, and for the lives that literally you are saving and giving back to the community. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You know, it dawned on me as we were all together here tonight that in a perfect world, drug and alcohol treatment would, I don't know, should be paid for and should be free to everyone, paid for by the government, right? Wouldn't that make sense? We don't bat an eye about spending $50,000 or $60,000 a year to put someone in prison. That's one person. But what if we took just a fraction of that and we reached out to them, we helped them get clean and sober with public money? I mean, it seems like the paradigm is backwards, it's broken. But I'm here to tell you that you are part of the solution. Until we have that perfect world, we have to have nonprofits like ETS, because without nonprofits like ETS, people literally would die and go away, and families would continue to be hurt generationally, as Brian said. And Brian, what a treasure, what a gem you are to our community. Keep up the good work. And it's been my pleasure to be with all of you tonight. So thank you so much for supporting ETS. I know your time is precious. I know your Zoom tolerance is very limited these days, but hey, let's go watch the Mariners win another one tonight, and we'll have highlights on King 5 News at 10 and 11 o'clock. So you guys, this has been my profound honor to be with you. Thank you for all that you do to make our community a better place. And ETS, thank you. I can't imagine our community without you. So we'll see you guys next year. Thanks for being here.